My name is Kabale Sharamo from CPF Financial Services, and today we are discussing strategy. What are these terms that are thrown out here? Strategic goals, strategic plans.
Every institution, if really you want to go far, if really you want to expand, grow, not just survive but thrive, you really need strategic leaders. So what do? You hear that strategic leaders think strategically. So you're left wondering then, what is strategic planning? What is strategic thinking? Being intentional steps. That you're taking deliberate steps to achieve something. So which means you already have a goal. You know where you're going. That where you're going is what now becomes your goal. When you can see your future, you already envision your future, now that becomes your strategic vision. For what? What do you want? Why do you want to go where you have said you want to go? You want to go there because you have a purpose as an institution. Say for instance at CPF Consulting, what is our mission? What is our vision? You know, the vision then becomes your desired future. Desired future. It is a strategic leader who will get to see that far. It is a strategic leader who will put together the mission of an institution, the purpose for which an institution exists. Then you become intentional. For us to get where we have said we want to go, what are some of these goals we must achieve? The achievable aims that an institution is seeking to achieve within a given period. And that's why you hear people talking about strategic planning for 5 years, for 3 years, for 10 years. You're seeing a future. You break that down into manageable goals, right? So those manageable goals then becomes the aim that the institution is trying to achieve within a given period. And you have seen how it has worked with CPF Group.
As a strategic leader, then you should be able to instill that vision among the team that you're leading. Meaning then you should be able to very well articulate the vision. The people should need to believe in you, and you should be able to recognize as you go through the steps of evolving or every other time, every step, every milestone that you're making, you need to recognize that that effort is not only yours alone, but you have the people who are behind, and they recognize them. So it also brings down the aspect of what kind of culture do you have as an institution? What values do you believe as an institution? So as a leader, then once you are able to embody all these things, then we will say that as a strategic leader, you are actually able to move the institution from point A to point B, and I think that is what has been recognized. But then to bring it in the current context where then there has been a lot of change in the business world, that the pandemic has come in the Kenyan environment, we've been through an election process, so many changes. What does that mean for business? It means as a business you need to look at your strategic plan. Is it working in the current environment? What do you need to do? What do you need to change? And I think that is what will actually be what you could call scenario planning. That as a leader, you should be able to have flexible ways in which you are able to change your scenarios depending on the circumstances which are happening.
I like what you're saying about the changes in the environment and managing your environment, because it is said the best way to predict the future is to create it. You have to look at the rules of the game, create the rules of the game, break what you must break in order for you to get to the future by creating new rules. And that you create when you get into strategic thinking. Now, strategic thinking is that whole idea where strategic leaders, all these managers, all these C-suite, the CEOs, the directors, they must at all times ensure that they take a deep dive into the environment and into their industries and into their businesses to bring out insights that would enable the institution to grow. So the constant, regular digging into insights is what we call strategic thinking. And institutions that thrive are those institutions that make that an everyday conversation. And all managers today are called to become strategic thinkers. And now that we are speaking about strategic thinking and managers, we have a very exciting program in October, actually the first week of October, We will be meeting in Mombasa discussing strategy and strategic thinking for managers. Why is it necessary that managers must think strategically? Strategy is not for the top. Strategy is everybody's everyday job. If managers are managing different aspects of the business, they must be the ones coming with those insights for those businesses. That would make our institutions not just grow, but thrive.
And for you to thrive, then it means you should be able to adapt, to change, you need to innovate, and you need to create new ideas. So the more reason that we are saying that anybody at all levels within the institution, you are a strategic thinker. It means then actually the training that we are running up in October, it's meant for everybody. Managers who are involved, for us, for our institutions to be able to innovate. Remember, an institution is only as good as if it's able to adapt to the current changes that are happening. And you have seen it. A number of institutions have gone down the drain because they were unable to innovate. Now, innovation does not just come, and everybody has the ability to innovate. If you want the best fish, you have to go into deep sea. And that is the deep sea, and that's the deep diving we're talking about. So therefore then, strategic thinking, deep diving.
And while we speak about strategic thinking and strategy for managers, what then becomes the role of the C-suite? What becomes the role of the board? If the board then is in charge of policy, is in charge of strategy, it is critical that all C-suite leadership and all directors in every institution, it is an imperative that really they must get the skills and the knowledge for scenario planning, because they have to look at the what if. If we go this, then what will happen? What if, what if? Nobody is in control of the environment. So it becomes critical that at that top level, you're seeing far and you're thinking, what if? Let's look at scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. That way then you cushion your institution from imminent death.
For so long as then institutions are still left behind, and I think that's why we're saying the what if analysis that as an institution you need to take into account. Just like a farmer who would want to know whether, is it the best time to plant now? So you have to run scenarios based on the weather. So what we're saying is you run scenarios based on the circumstances which you are in and identify and pick the best that can suit your organization. But that cannot not come to, as a CEO alone. You need your team. You need all the managers to think the same way and identify all the possible scenarios which then are the best fit for your institution. And I think that's what we're saying is that the kind of outcome and expectation arising from the training which will be running up in September next month is really ideal, what you call in the scenario planning.
We'll have a training session on 26th to the 30th of September. We are meeting in Singapore. We want to see what they have done. We shall be discussing strategy and scenario planning for boards. How would boards drive the growth agenda of their institutions? What stands in the way? What then can directors in various boards do? They have to develop the scenarios.
And this will be a good opportunity for organizations, for boards, C-suite team to meet in Singapore and really let us get into the deep dive of it. Let us look at the what if analysis. What options do we have? How best can we position our organizations in light of the changing environment, which is fast changing, not only from a financial perspective, but even from a climate perspective. And all these are things that if we don't then take action now, we don't participate in what kind of scenarios are working for us, definitely we will have a challenge in sustaining our institutions.
We welcome everybody to Mombasa on 3rd to the 7th of October.
And we've had it for everyone.
Yes, it's for everybody.
Yeah, it's for everyone.
It's titled Strategy and Strategic Thinking for Managers, and we meet in Singapore for strategy and scenario planning.
Thank you, Rosemary, and thank you, Director.
As you've heard from our strategic leaders,
the importance of strategy to the organization. It's what leads to innovation, to being dynamic, and to growth of every company. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.